You know what time it is? It is your main man, Mr. Sigma himself, international extraordinaire, the man in BLA to the CK, on the way. Welcome to the tribe. This is your first time here. Hit that bell, like, subscribe. The truth will not be denied. Let's go get it. And we're off. What do we got to talk about today? Well, it is right to travel. Now, yes. I know I said I probably wouldn't do anymore, but a couple people keep blowing up my comment sections. Okay, I won't say blowing up, but they were very insistent on, could you please do this state? Could you please do that state? Now, we've handled ones where one of the easiest states openly talks about right to travel, has a whole statute code on it, etc. Easy to read, like Wisconsin. California wasn't even actually too bad. And then we started hitting some gray area ones. Well, this is probably thus far one of, if not the great, no area, landmine over the cliff, ain't got damn near nothing written ass Louisiana. So, Louisiana, we're coming for you. That's right. Take that, take that, take that. Mm-hmm. Let's get it going. It's about to be hot in her. So, as always, guys, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Have a blessed holiday season. Um, Thank you to the people who have donated, especially Ramen out there. I think you're my number one donation guy out there. So I appreciate any amount, small, medium, large. Larger the better is always good, but even the small ones matter. Small ones matter. So thank you for that. Badwolf Unincorporated, we're at 88,000. I was hoping to hit 100 this year. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. All right. Not organically. I can make it happen if I put some money on it, but it's not how we get down here. All right. So next year, we should be hitting 100,000. And that's why I'm keeping that spot clean and clear because that's where the plaque, what is it, the silver or the diamond, whatever the first one is at 100,000. Um, I probably will not ever see the 500,000 or a million because I don't think that people aren't, this is growing, but I don't know. I highly doubt it'll ever get that big, at least not on my channel, not organically. But I do appreciate all the people who do watch, even if you don't subscribe and support necessarily in the different ways. It is what it is. So, but if I ever do get the 500 or the million, it'll go there and I will be a happy camper and I will hold myself to the promises I made if we get to those marks. All right. Which I almost don't even really have to now because, like, really a lot of it is out there now. Chat can help you draft a good chunk of the things. Um, there's still some things that chat doesn't get right, and there's still some things that are in my files that chat doesn't seem to cover, which is why I'm going to give you guys this bit of information if you don't already have it, which is if you go to blacksite32 or jamesclovett.com, okay, blacksite32.com and jamesclovett.com, both of those are my two sites. Those are my only sites. Do not be fooled by other people trying to rip you off, et cetera, et cetera. Be careful. Okay. Because if it's not those two names, I think I still own James C. Love or what was it up? Like anyway, I try to take up all the names that I can so people don't try to pretend to be me, but that's not impossible. All right. So be careful of scammers. If it's not jamesclovett.com or blacksite32.com, it's not me. Do not fall for anything. Do not send any money. Do not send any naked picture. So my email is I'm just kidding. All right. Yeah, but for real, those are my only two websites where we do business. The other ones are entertainment. And even if you think it might be mine, if it's not on Black Site 32 as being mine, it's probably not. Even in my own groups, like on Telegram, be careful of people pretending to be me, asking you for personal information, whatever else. It's not me. I don't need your personal information. Matter of fact, when people send me their personal information or pictures or whatever else, I don't do anything with them. Okay. So I get rid of it. That's just me. I don't have that bone in my body. All right. So, but on those sites, you can get what I have is the Badwolf Chat GPT AI comprehensive reprogram. And I used my chat, programmed it my way. I used to be a computer programmer. I guess technically I still am. And I reprogrammed it so that it would operate 1,000% better in our favor for what we're doing. I literally taught it the law. And what's funny is I won't mention the corporation because we have an agreement in place, but they actually are modeling their AIs to learn how to do what I'm doing because the AIs currently do not know how to do it on the level that I do. So yes, if other companies are interested, you guys can hit me up. It's not an exclusive one. But that being said, if you want your AI to run better, go get that program. The price is relatively cheap. And I just updated it, so it's running even better now. And you'll be able to see a little bit of that in this next rundown here. And we're going to the state of Louisiana. Louisiana. Got some family folk from down there, at least in the organic parts, not the corporate parts. Maybe the corporate parts too. Anyway, for those people who don't know, yes, I've got family in Louisiana. I've got property, and sometimes I'm in Arkansas. I've got family in Texas, Kentucky, Tennessee, Wisconsin, and off the top, I think that's pretty much it as far as direct blood relatives and places I go and stay and whatever else. So anyway, so if you want the living in the private videos, which people have been raving over, once again, I don't brag. I'm not going to put all the victories and all the people's names out there and stuff like that. But thank you to all those who do support me. So Black Site 32, you can get a lot of the information, but the paid videos are on jamesclovett.com. And through the holidays, we have two right now that are free to watch completely. You can leave a donation if you want. But all of the videos on there, they have a set price, but then you can pay more if you choose to on top of that. Okay. So thank you for those people who have and do. I do get a direct notification from that site when orders are placed because a lot of people don't know about that site. All right. Everybody thinks it's all Black Site 32, but then depending on which page you go for more information, then it'll kick you over to that particular site. But it's still very new. All right. You know what? Enough talking. Let's get into it. As always, if you see anybody who's going to give my information, name, logos, whatever else in a negative way, report them for bullying, slander, defamation of character, and we'll go from there. Oh, if you guys see the down below, it's marvelous, by the way. Uh, Underneath the video, some they putting the sovereign citizen movement, blah blah blah, bull shite. Click on it, say, do not like this, and report that as well, because, well, that's what they call as warfare or lawfare, using the law, advertising against me telling you guys about your rights and freedoms. And as always, guys, this is education and entertainment purposes from your favorite non-belligerent non-combatant. Make sure that you guys get your truth. Vet the information, even though I'm showing it to you, make sure it makes sense to you. Vet the information. Don't just do anything that anybody shows you out there. I'm one of very few people out there that actually live this life. This is not just, for clicks and a couple of dollars here and there. I live this life. I'm 95% in the private. And in about one more year, I'll probably be 98%. As you get higher up, it gets a little harder because you got to get rid of certain things. And I'll probably never be 100% because there's certain things in the public that I do like to utilize when I want to. But it'll be about 98, 99%. All right. And I've got some fire things that we're doing right this month here and now. So we're going to wait to see how it's going to turn out, come out. Because we about to have them THEM, totally hidden evil motherfuckers. They're about to be even more mad. So they want it is what it is. That's what it is. But hey, it's all business. Take the emotions out of it. Let's get into it. Okay. Let's get that up. Now I gotta find where. There it is. All right, now let me turn on the vocal unit. All right, lovely AI assistants. Well, I think it's a she. This one's a she. Could it be a he? Could they be whatever you are? Take it away, Sam.
A comprehensive constitutional, organic, and statutory analysis. Louisiana is unique because it is the only civil law jurisdiction in the United States, based not on English common law but on French/Spanish civil code. This distinction creates major openings for right-to-travel arguments because
So they're telling you, once again, understand, guys, how this works. There's two main layers of here. There's the organic ground that we own, and then there's the corporate structure above it, operating on top of it. They don't own necessarily the land, but here's where it gets different. That's what all the other states are. But Louisiana is a little bit different. Now, the land is still American, but the corporate structure on top, which basically governs that area, doesn't mean they own the area because it's American, but they govern the legal system so intently there in the Louisiana area that it's their shit. Nobody else can really just come in there. So when they made their agreement with the government, they said, hey, yeah, we get it. There's the organic Louisiana state, but we're a state of Louisiana, and we're gonna stay in common law, and our stuff will stay based in French, Spanish civil code. We're not going to utilize your U.C. We're going to have our own version. So they're one of the only states, kind of like similar to Texas, but different. But they basically said, yeah, you can suck my dick. I'm still going to move this way. And the government was like, well, we suggest we're not. So the government's like, well, look, I guess we're just happy to have you on the team. We'll work on that. We'll see. We'll just, we'll work with you. So much like Texas, Louisiana basically does their own thing. But once again, it's still based off of when they were French and Spanish controlled, using their type of law civil code system, operating under their ways, not the English common law based. So it's not exactly the same. Okay, hold on one second. It is frozen, doesn't want to read what I want it to read. So, talk amongst yourselves, smoke if you got them, and we'll be back in two and two. Please stand by. We are experiencing technical difficulties. Cue the music. Now, good? Okay. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Hey guys, what's going on? It's the Bad Wolf. If you guys noticed any delay there, it's because the chat wasn't quite working properly, but we're now back and fully functional. Let's get back over there. Hey, it's Monday. It's early.
civil code relies heavily on definitions. Vehicle or private automotive travel. Louisiana statutes are commercial in nature and strongly tied to commerce, transportation, operation, privilege, license, and revenue-producing activity.
That's literally all that they can control because that's in the public domain. Anything private, per the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and Bill of Rights, is ours. Their commercial side came from ours, our natural side. The commercial wasn't here first, natural was. They're both here now, but we rarely use the natural and private because we don't know and we didn't know anything about it. Everything in our lives has been turned damn near into commercial. Everything around us, commercial, bank, commercial, grocery store, commercial, for profit, public, administrative. They've corporatized your life and your name. That way they have jurisdiction. When you take back your stuff and bring it back into the private automobile, not motor vehicle, travel, to move by God's grace, trav, to move, L's God, to travel, travail, go from one place to another under God's power, power of God. Okay, so it says here underneath doing a word challenge check. State of Louisiana has the word driver being used. It is missing the for hire part for an argument, but the word driver is in Black Law's dictionary as commercial, public, for profit. So it's operator. Almost everywhere where you see the word tor, or re is theirs. Matter of fact, even the word driver is really D, river. Why? Because everything in there is derived through the river because it's commercial, water jurisdiction, commerce, commercy, all, commercy, the com of the sea, the sea, which is water. They built their stuff on their codes, statutes are based on water, maritime, admiralty, admiralty like a ship captain, the admiral of a fleet, maritime, boating, word maritime, mar, M-A-R, as in America, America, mar means water-based. Comes from the ancient sea people. Paleo-Hebrew, Atlantean. They were the first mariners, or at least within recorded history as far back in antiquity that I could get my hands on, the scrolls and documents. Yes, I'm a nerd and I love to go follow it all the way, the trail all the way back. So once again, we have motor, operator, operate, and when it's re something, once again, R-E-E-R, those are generally their words because they changed the word. And it makes it so that it's more so derived or placed or based in their word. You can have siding, but to re-side is to put another side on it or to go from one side to the other. I re-sided from this side to that side. I re-sided. So why are they asking you, are you a resident? Because it's the part of the word here is Latin to resi, erase, to erase. So they resed your identity. They recited your entity. They recited your entity. Do you see this? Side your entity. That's why when they ask you, are you a non-resident? Non-resident is their way of saying, are you a non-citizen national? Are you a national? Are you a state citizen? Are you a foreign national? Are you somebody that's not under our jurisdiction? You didn't reside with us. You didn't res your identity. You didn't reside your entity. So here, the AI is saying they don't have clear definitions of the word non-resident. So that's a challenge. And anything they have based on it, it's void for vagueness or it's mute. They have the word vehicle, which refers to being transported. Okay. So the word here is trans. Okay. To change. Ported, port is water. Did you change ports? Well, if you use the word port, you're in our jurisdiction. Use the word trans, you're in our jurisdiction. Highways, high waterways. Drawn, raw. These are their words, meaning commerce and business. You just didn't know what you were doing. You didn't know what you were hearing. You didn't know what you were getting involved in when you went to P. Diddy's house. Oh, too soon. Not too soon. 50 is petty. Man, I love that dude. He's got Badwolf level of petty. And let me tell you this, they did not cover all of the bases in that video on Netflix. I wasn't going to watch it, but I was like, yeah, I got to watch it. Got to see the train wreck. So if you want my opinion on some of those things, check me out on my other YouTube channel, Bad Wolf Unrestricted. Got something for that ass though. We're gonna go into it. Try not to get sued by Diddy. Educational, entertainment purposes only. So transported is a commercial term and it forms nexus, a joinder. All right. Louisiana's lack clear non-resident or foreign vehicle provisions. This is a major opening. So it says here, unlike Wisconsin's 341.40, Idaho or other states, so these other states have clear, here's what it is with a non-resident. Louisiana's title does not contain the definitions of non-resident, nothing clear about non-resident registration or exemptions. So if they write you a ticket by law, they're in violation, which they agreed to be under the federal constitution. So they may still yet try to find you guilty. You, like I've told everybody else, will have to take them if they don't want to play ball properly and back out when beaten. You take them to federal court. Now, of course, the constitutional right to travel is protected. I don't care what a cop or a judge or any of them tell you, it's because they're operating in a public capacity where this here is case law and they don't like it. Matter of fact, one judge told me, he goes, I won't look at anything before 1938, because that's when one of the major shifts of all of this came into place. So to them, anything before 1938 is void. Yet other judges have said, well, anything before that time is superior. Nonetheless, unless it's been repealed, all of these stand. Maybe not in their court, but it does in the federal court. This is case law. And this isn't me. The AI is saying travel is a constitutional right, all these things. So now it's saying Louisiana civil law vulnerability. They don't have any of these definitions. So they really cannot prosecute you on something that they have not defined. So mark my words, now that I made this video, because they all talk, I guarantee you Louisiana will be updating their code, much like many other states who've updated their codes, because they have their uh, AI and their people, their handlers who watch my materials. I'm glad this is all entertainment. Are you not entertained? So remember, traffic offenses are quasi criminal, but understand this. If you are driving as a driver with your stuff registered, they have the right to ticket you. Traffic offenses are not criminal unless you're doing something reckless and purposefully and all that. I had one judge say, no, no, this is quasi criminal. There's no such thing. It's either all the way criminal or it's not. Can't be both. That's why they like to call people sovereign citizens. You can't be both. You have the ability to be both, but what you're doing, if it's criminal, then it's truly criminal. If you're a sovereign and you're doing it right, you're a sovereign. If you're not doing it right, then you're a citizen who's breaking the rules or the law or whatever else. Can't be both. And you can sue them if they do use the word sovereign citizen against you because it has no legal standing. They're calling you something outside of their jurisdiction. Ultra vires. Statutes must be strictly construed. They must not here. Louisiana courts repeatedly hold that ambiguity, uncertainness, must be resolved in favor of the individual. So if it's, and this is a good one, that good thing to hear. So they're saying here, if it's a little bit confusing, it must be resolved, but in resolving it, it must be in the favor of the individual, the living person. But they will try to write their code so tight. But at the end of the day, it's either you're a part of their system and those rules matter, or you're not, but you still must oblige by not doing damage or criminal things. So in Louisiana, you'd be arguing there's no definition for non-resident in your Title 32. There's no definition for private automobile or private travel. The state only regulates commercial transportation and drivers. I am not engaged in commercial transportation. Without a clear statutory definition, no jurisdiction exists. And they can't have a jurisdiction over the private. Ergo, then the private automobile. Ergo, then private travel. They cannot regulate the private. They can still arrest you. They can prosecute you if you're doing wrong shit. I mean, that's what the federal law's for, not the corporate law. Corporate law is for corporations and legal persons, which is what your name is in all capitalized letters. So, from their perspective, you have one foot already in there since you got the state's birth certificate. That's a legal person. It's not actually you, but because it has your name, you are responsible for it. You're basically, from their perspective, emphatically from their perspective, the surety, the responsible party. You've never put limits on that. You don't know how to take control of it. You do not know how to operate it and enforce what position you really are. So they assume you're the trustee or the surety, and you get banged, as well you should. You need to learn how to not be a slave and to be free. But you also need to know how to be a slave, sorry, an employee, when it's time to be an employee. Just like a lot of you guys need to learn when to fight as a citizen and when to fight as a national. One of my consultations this week, very smart lady. I put her in the top 5 females of intelligence and that know this information. But she was trying to fight a U.S. citizen case as a national. That doesn't give you better leverage most times. I'll be making a video on that. Not her, but basically that scenario. Louisiana's omission creates what's known as ultra vires, operating outside of your jurisdiction. You have no power here. You have no power here for prosecution. They can't prosecute you on something they don't own. I would live for them to put sovereign citizen on anything mine. I'm gonna walk up their face and down the crack of their ass. Because in order to prosecute somebody as a sovereign citizen, you must own the word. They don't own the word. It has no legal or lawful standing in law. It has not been codified or codified. And it's an oxymoron and it's defamation of character. I'm about to get paid 1% of the county, city, state, law enforcement. 1% may not seem like a lot, but it's going to hurt their black tarred souls, if you want to call them that. And they got to write that check. That's why they leave me alone. When you beat, let me say this correctly. When you have an adult conversation and you're able to prove your point in law with their own codes, their own weaknesses, and beat the legal department of every major entity out there in these United States, which I have, not every department individually, but higher departments, that means something. It means you know your shit. And I'm not even fully versed. There's still areas I don't know. So I re-asked it. I said, search back through everything in the legislative, code, judicial, revenue, registration, vehicles, transport, annotations, everything in Louisiana, and see if you can find anything that might resemble what I asked it to look for. Non-resident, non-domestic, vehicles, foreign jurisdiction, vehicles registered in other states, vehicles registered internationally, exempt vehicles, private conveyances, private travel. And it said there are zero statutory definitions for these words when most other states have it. Now, if Louisiana, the state of, had not joined the Union and become one of the 50 states, it none of this would be relevant. It could do whatever it wanted to do. But it did join. So it cannot do just whatever it wants to do. So if the legislature does not define it, and remember, this is a separation of powers. The executive branch, who executes things, they're the ones who put hands on, so the police. If there's no legislature to define it, the executive branch and the judicial branch, judicial to judge, the two separate things. Neither one of them can do all of it. There's the judicial, the executive, and the legislative branch. This is called the separation of powers. They draft it, they put hands on you, they judge you. None of them can do all of it in one. None of them can do two of the same things. So if the legislation doesn't even exist, the courts cannot enforce it. The police cannot touch you unless you're doing criminal things or endangering public safety or denying somebody else their rights and due process. That is their job. The only place Louisiana mentions foreign is with federal stuff, federal standards. So they don't. So Louisiana doesn't even have a way. If you want to, as a non-resident, to register your vehicles, but they actually do. So this is technically where the AI would be wrong. But here's why: you can register your vehicle to the state of Louisiana, and then your private vehicle at that time becomes a resident vehicle, along with your resident name. But as far as codes surrounding the non-resident or private or international or foreign, they don't have any adjoining legislation on it. So then they can't regulate it. This means any ticket or prosecution is ultra vires. So if you've been convicted of right to travel or anything like that, you have a lawsuit on your hands easily. Anywhere in the entire geographical area known as Louisiana state where you were commercially processed into their jurisdiction under false joinder because they're operating then on fraud upon the court, deprivation of your rights, deprivation of your rights as a national under 8 U.S.C. 1503, which is not included in here. Civil rights violation, 1983, operating as color of law. If it's the police or the sheriff, it's the color of law. You can bring up all of these things, okay, but generally you want to, I would sue for each one individually. You got a higher rate of them of success. And they don't like that either because you can get more money that way. De facto enforcement. The police take an oath to protect you as a private citizen. De facto, void of facts. D means void, facts, void of facts, Latin, enforcement. Void ab initio, Latin, void since the beginning. Without enabling legislation, doesn't exist. Beyond their statutory authority, statute authority to do what? Enforce statutes. They don't have it. Beyond that, this is called ultra vires. You cannot prosecute or arrest unless criminal actions have been taken, something that you don't own. They operatively control the jurisdiction based on motor vehicle. This word that seems innocent, when used, is only for vehicles that were created in their jurisdiction, like police cars, state vehicles. When you take your private conveyance, automobile, and you register it, it has then been turned into a motor vehicle. And now you are operating. Just like a doctor needs to be licensed, you need to be licensed. This doesn't mean you can just get a vehicle and just jump in it and I'm traveling. They still need to know who owns the vehicle if you're going to be in their area. You record the sale of it. It must be in a private thing. If it's in your name is in their jurisdiction. They can find it in their computer as a legal person because you voted, you registered to vote. You registered your name into their system. Your parents did it to you, you did it to you. So stop going out there and doing stupid ass shit. You have to know what you're doing to get out of the contracts. Watch all of my videos on right to travel. If you're going to do it the right way, you must legally remove yourself so you can travel lawfully. Prosecuting you would be fraud if any of these apply. You're a national of the United States, 8 U.S.C. 1101A 22B. It's also missing 8 U.S.C. 1401. You are a private traveler. You're not operating in commerce. You have a foreign private trust owned vehicle. And then you must make your plates. And then you must conform generally to what the state, though Louisiana doesn't have it. So you're pretty much open to do whatever you want. Like in California, when you make your own plates, it basically says that you have to have an expiration date on there. So if I was living in California, I would have the year 3052. I'm in compliance. Your entity must not be registered to the state of Louisiana. This is why your foreign entity, your foreign trust, your private trust, your micronation, your government, whatever it is that you created properly in foreign, with or without an EIN, preferably without, but whatever, must not be domiciled to the state of Louisiana. You must have and be under no contract. Contract. To contract is the gain ground. You must have no no fakery, where they're gaining ground on you. A contract. Application. To apply. Cation. To animate a thing. Now here it says haven't applied for a license. This can be ignored. Why? You can have a license. Your name is already registered to them, so that's whatever. This is why even if you do right to travel, you can still have a license, but they will probably try to use that against you. This is why the vehicle must be private, because the entity owns the vehicle, not you. Your name is tainted. So you are generally can be construed to be a resident unless you create a affidavit or declaration of not being a resident and you get it signed under jure. Then they can't even argue that aspect. Otherwise, as a resident, you can say in the moment of this event, which is traveling privately, I am not a resident. I'm not in resident capacity. I'm in private capacity. Cops do the same thing. Judges do the same thing. Attorneys do the same thing. Go to their house, and I'm not saying actually go to their house, educational purposes only, at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, I need your help on a case, or somebody's doing something. And they're going to say, I'm in private capacity. How do you know where my private house is? Why aren't you wearing underwear? And I would say, well, why aren't you wearing underwear? And then we laugh about the horrible times at Diddy's house. The Oh man. Okay, okay. All right, let's get back. Let's get back. Um, so what this means for you and right to travel, okay? So you put together your packet of information. All of this should be in your travel binder. You should have a copy of your travel binder in your house. You should have a minimum of two, one in your car and one in your house. Do not try to make the cop read through everything in there. Have your most important documents on top. Cancel the driver's license. Here's the DMV document for that. Here's my affidavit of that. Don't have anything with your actual physical address on there, because if they're going to try to skirt the law, they're going to try to take your name off the passport, run it, or from whatever ID you have. They're then going to find it in the computer, which is fraud. Because you're not, if you have a passport, especially, that document is not a state statute public document for the civil level. It's a federal document, two different jurisdictions. They're trying to bind you to one that is forced joinder, a federal offense, and it's peonage. They're trying to force you to do something, also a federal offense. Now, he can lie and say he didn't know that, but that doesn't excuse him from the law. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. But he can lie, and all that means, if he lies convincingly, it's between him and his creator, or Satan, whatever. You couldn't then sue him on the private side. But then he must admit on the public side that he didn't know, which means he's in derelict of his duty. He doesn't know his job. And that's when his or hers bonds come into place, or they may be under a group bond through their what do you call it? A group insurance or a group bond under their risk management department for lawsuits. Oh yeah, I'd be knowing some shit. So why they can they not use miscellaneous or catch-all statutes? I asked it because I already know what the answer is, but I just wanted to, this is for the video. I'm just teaching you guys what I already know. This violates your due process because they need to have given you fair notice of the law. No one shall be held to answer for a crime, even if they want to call it quasi-criminal, unless it's defined in statutes. Their statutes are for 14th Amendment U.S. citizens, legal persons, corporations, entities acting under such jurisdiction or status in the time of the event. Void for vagueness doctrines applies for the federal and the state. A vague or undefined statute violates due process and is unenforceable. So, to the legal department and those people who work for the state of Louisiana and your civil department, your legal department, if you want help to draft something, which I know you guys won't do it, you can reach out to me. Instead of talking to me and paying me a fraction of what you're going to pay those other people who are probably just going to use AI and run it through their, usually the lawyers have their, not the CPA, but paralegal. That's all they're going to do, but it is what it is. Police cannot expand jurisdiction by inference or inference. So a lot of police officers, I know you guys watch my videos too. Hell, I had a couple of guys become police officers after learning, well, actually learning my information first and then became that. So yeah, we got people on the inside. Huzzah. And another cop vouched for what I'm about to say. Actually, I think it was the sheriff. He said that if anybody speaks like I do and they have their paperwork right, let them alone, especially if they're not doing anything worth giving a ticket to. But if they are doing something speeding and dangerous and drunk, those are the people you go after. Otherwise, you are facing your unconstitutional statutes and lawsuits. And you, my good officer, because I know you guys watch these videos, can be attacked on your personal side and on your private side or public side. I don't care what your commanding officer tells you about people like me. I'm on your side more than you know. They're not going to tell you this stuff because they're using you as cannon fodder. They want you to make as much money for the court system as possible so they can all get their kickbacks. And in 30 years, you get a watch. But let's be G about this real quick. You also then have to watch your back for the rest of your life and your family's life because of all the unlawful, unconstitutional things you've done to good people. You're making monsters. Be careful how you treat people. Do not act outside of your authority. Do not violate the separation of powers. Just because the police officers are executives, they're the ones who can put their hands on you, does not mean they have the absolute right in all events to do such. Because we, the people, can put hands on police officers back for unlawful arrest, unlawful detainment. But be sure that you are sure before you do that, because they have a lot of might in the immediate. You cannot perform ultra vires acts going above your power. The second you operate outside of statute law outside of your powers. There's no legislation that gives you the powers to do it. You're in danger because that person has the right to defend themselves in any way, shape, form, or fashion so held by the Supreme Court and the federal court, Constitution. As a police officer, you are not operating as an American. You're not operating under American freedom and law. You're not operating lawfully. You're operating legally as a code enforcer for 14th Amendment individuals or 14th Amendment U.S. citizens to be legally correct. Courts cannot write missing law. So the judge or whoever cannot just say, well, we think it's this. It has to already be there for them to execute it, but it also must have been written first, executed, and then judged on and interpreted. Otherwise, it's fraud upon the court. So the bottom line is can they do it? Yeah, they may attempt it, but no, they cannot legally do it, nor lawfully. See what I mean? Now I mean. So that's it, guys. So Louisiana, um, tick tock, Mr. Wick. You guys better get to drafting some things up, or not. But if your police are harassing people operating privately and right to travel or whatever else, you're not immune from lawsuits. Mr. Police Officer, Mr. Sheriff, Mr. Lawyer, Mr. Judge, the county, the city, the municipality, the state. So, like I said, I'm on nobody's one side. We can all play nice in the sandbox, but we must know what's going on. Private people need to know how to be private and ebb and flow, maritime terminology there, between the two. Law enforcement, whatever else, have to stay here, but you need to learn how to identify these people properly. That there is a difference between a sovereign citizen, even though it doesn't have no standing in law. You can't prosecute one underneath that. You can only prosecute a person, a citizen, as a citizen who's broken your statute laws from a private citizen, national, foreign national, non-resident. That's it. Have a good day, guys. Take care. See you next year.